What's happening, people? We're back inside the building. Welcome back to Breakfast with Kovu here on Trickstar Radio. Really, really exciting show this morning. It's Fresh Fridays. Of course, we're going to be getting into loads of conversation, breaking down all the new releases. But before that, we're getting into a conversation with someone I have a lot of respect for, someone who is really kind of leading the way, I suppose, when it comes to DJing in a lot of different styles of grime and drill and rap music in general. Man like Oblig is in the building. How are you doing, sir?
Jeez, I'm good. Thank you very much, man. Thank you for that introduction.
It's great to have you in, man. I mean, every single word. Just looking at everything you've been kind of doing over the last couple of years, you really have been sort of steamrolling that sort of representation of grime and rap and drill via the DJ side of things. Obviously, there's been a lot going on over the last couple of years as well, so it's really, really good to get you on the show and just to kind of break everything down. Just kind of going back to maybe a couple of years ago, How has that progression kind of been for you? Because it seems like the last couple of years really have been kind of wild in the kind of way things have taken off.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I suppose just the introduction of the drill side of things into grime, it's been a natural progression for me. I think I've been introduced the drill side maybe about 3-4 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And obviously the way drill has just taken off. And to be honest, I don't know how I got in so early. Like I think about it now, like I would probably say I was one of, if not the first people to do it. Yeah. I know I was hugely inspired by like Face Miyake, right? And the kind of like aspect that he brought to grime, you know, like the trappier side of grime. But I suppose the rise of drill just kind of was parallel to the rise of my success a little bit.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because when the thing that's always been kind of prominent in grime is that there's always been grime DJs. There's always been people that like are notable for being grime DJs. But that seems to be such a, from an outside perspective anyway, I don't know if it's just for me living down here in Brighton, but it definitely feels like there's a kind of lack of DJ figures in drill music. And you're kind of one of those leading heads now, especially in representing the sound on radio and things like that. Like, why do you think that is?
I don't know, you know. I mean, I think about that a lot as well. Like, I would say, like, Kenny Allstar's the obvious one, right? And then you maybe think of, like, DJ Bempa, who's on NTS. He's 6'7's, like, tour DJ as well. Yeah. And then really, outside of that, you have, like... I think what it is drill has a lack of, like, club culture, right? So... when you think of drill, I would say it's like a YouTube genre. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, I feel that 100%.
Like rappers are making videos, they're blowing, they're getting signed, and then they go from there. Like, drill artists don't necessarily consider a tune for radio when they make it. They definitely don't consider a tune for raves. You know what I'm saying? It's the same with production as well. Like, producers aren't making instrumentals to be played in clubs. They're not making instrumentals to be released to get their stuff on vinyl. They're making instrumentals, they're putting it on YouTube, they're calling it a type beat, and they're hoping somebody picks it up, right? That's just kind of the way it works.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think anybody really picked it up as a potentially... like a form of club music. And I suppose that was kind of what I wanted to bring to it, you know.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, man. And I definitely think with the kind of angle that Grime's been coming with for a few years, it has definitely it always has been, but it's become more seen as a genre that is going to get played in clubs. And I think on top of that as well, when you look at drill and a lot of people that are releasing it seems to me anyway that they're releasing it for themselves. They're releasing it to kind of push to their fans that they already have a lot of the time, rather than to try and necessarily open up to new fans. They're not making stuff, as you say, to get playlisted on radio. They're not making stuff necessarily to get playlisted in the clubs. They're making stuff to kind of drop on YouTube and Spotify as well, I suppose, and kind of get the views from the fans that they already have. Like, it's such an interesting parallel. Like, when you're kind of taking music in for sort of drill and grime, like, how much work are you kind of putting in regards to getting the clean edit sorted and getting the instrumental versions like sent over separately? Like, how much goes into that side of things?
So much goes into that, man. I think that's also one of the things that has put me in a good space when it comes to drill music, because I've been building these relationships with drill producers for a long time, right? Like I said, maybe I must have, like, one of the first real drill producers to like bring me in and like send me shit was a guy called Mazza.
Yeah.
Right, now Mazza's huge. Like, Mazza did Let's Lurk 6-7, do you know what I mean? Like, he was big deal. And I've been speaking to him since when I lived in New York City. So that's got to be like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, I think that's one of the reasons why I've kind of, I suppose, spearheaded it a little bit, because it's not easy to get drill instrumentals. It's like, as I said before, the fact that they don't make beats to be played in clubs, right? It's like even the idea of playing an instrumental on the radio is kind of alien to them, right? They don't really see, I suppose, the plus side to that happening.
That's, I mean, it's so crazy, because because the way it kind of look, at least it looks from the outsiders, and I feel to a lot of people, grime and drill are so linked in the sort of production side of things, in the evolution, in the sort of areas that it's kind of spawned from as well. You'd think that there would be a natural kind of follow up from that sort of radio culture.
Yeah, it's odd, man. Like, I mean, essentially, when you really break it down, it's the same music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's around the same BPM. It's just has a slightly different sound to it. You know what I mean? I've always wondered why that it's never really been seen as the same thing. But I think it's just an age thing. Do you know what I mean? It's a completely new generation. Like I said, it's a YouTube generation. It's a streaming generation. And really, they've kind of... And even with radio, right? Radio isn't as prominent as it used to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been doing radio for a long time. I'm sure you probably understand as well. Like, there's still so much love for it, but the importance of it isn't quite there like it used to be. Do you know what I mean? I don't think kids are growing up with it in their minds. You know? Yeah, no,
entirely. And I think the whole kind of rise of streaming culture, the whole rise of things kind of landing instantaneously, almost like a kind of step back from, I suppose, dubplate culture, and the idea of only being able to hear tunes in certain places at certain times has definitely given rise to that. I mean, just to kind of switch the topics up a fair bit here, you spoke there obviously about living in New York and obviously that being time ago. Do you feel even now? I think you said 5 years ago, so 5 years on. Do you feel that kind of still influences your sort of the way you go with music and the way you kind of look for certain sounds?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think it's an interesting one because I started to DJ when I was in New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was when the first ever club I played was a party that I threw in Manhattan. And because I was kind of a grime DJ in New York, right, trying to play to audiences that didn't necessarily understand grime, it wasn't necessarily familiar with grime, really, like, I've always had to mix up sounds in terms of, like, when I would play a grime set, I could never really play a full hour just grime because I would lose everyone in that building.
Yeah, of course.
Do you know what I mean? So it would be like, I suppose the system I had was I would play like a grime tune, I'd mix it into a grime instrumental, and then I would bring in like 21 Savage, right? And then I would mix it into like a trap instrumental, and then play grime again. and then a trap instrumental,
Yeah, so,
and then I would play Migos.
So almost,
Do you know what I mean?
almost like spoon feeding to an extent, kind of going, here's a bit of that, and then here's what you know, here's a bit of that, here's a bit of no, here's something new.
Exactly, man. It's like I would see them come onto the dance floor for 20 Savage, then maybe listen to some Skepta, and be unsure, and then, you know what I mean? I had to do that because, like I said, otherwise I would lose them. And I suppose it's kind of the same with drill and grime. Like in this day and age, I know the drill stuff is, I suppose it's the popular stuff. Like, I could go into any club in the country right now and play Diggity Boy and know the reaction I'm going to get.
Yeah, entirely.
And then, but you may not get the same reaction with a P Money. Like, we're in a different place in time in London.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel that, and it's an interesting one. Something I've always found with that is it almost with drill and the way it rose up. I always found that it was very, very quick, the way that sort of sound exploded. And obviously, when you look back to sort of Grime's first sort of flirtation with more sort of mainstream popularity, I feel it was a lot slower of a process. Like, why do you think drill was so much more instantaneous in the way it popped?
I just think grime is, you know, I love grime, but it is a bit more jarring to listen to. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's more aggressive. It's more like, I remember when I used to live, when I was in New York, right? I used to work for American Apparel. Yeah? I was a stockroom guy, and I had my speakers in American Apparel, and I used to just play UK music all the time. I used to play grime, and I just remember all these girls coming back to the stockroom, and I remember one of them, it stuck with me in my head. She goes, "What is this robot music you're playing?" She literally said that to me. I looked at her, what do you mean? What do you mean robot music? But that was what their ears were hearing. Do you know what I mean? It was club music, but it was kind of jarring to them. And I suppose drill is like, I don't know, man. It's the melodies are a proper key, and so maybe it's easier to digest, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe. It's always fascinated me, man. Obviously, because I grew up listening to grime. I feel I was at the sort of age of like 20, 24, 25, like almost just getting past deciding what I liked, if you know what I mean. I feel by like sort of 19 to 23, you're really kind of establishing what it is you're there to listen to. So that drill started popping just after. I was kind of going through that period, so I often feel like a bit of an old man when I'm looking at it, going like, what's going, like kind of assessing it or whatever. So it is genuinely really interesting, and obviously with yourself being one of the heads that really is able to kind of push that sound and combine it with grime, which has always been really, really cool to me to hear. From a listener's perspective, it is really, really enjoyable. So moving forward, what I want to kind of do is more talk about yourself and kind of what you've got on the way. I think we're just going to run all the way through with this one because I'm enjoying the conversation far too much to break it up. But I want to kind of look at yourself, like what you're currently working on specifically now. Like, what's really driving you? Because obviously lockdown is taking its toll on everyone. Everyone's kind of had enough. But you like with yourself, what's the thing that's kind of keeping you going, and what projects are you working on specifically?
What's keeping me going, man? That's a good question, I suppose. I think I've been quite blessed in the sense of like people actually support what I do, right? And I understand that that's not everybody gets that support. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've got a lot of peers who are technically just as good as me. Do you know what I mean? And haven't quite gotten the support that they maybe deserve or they want. And I don't take that for granted, you know? Like, I'm in a great position. You know, I have a show every week on Rinse FM. I work very hard on that, man. I get good guests in every week. And, you know yourself, man, we're in a game where it's about consistency.
Entirely.
And it's about hard work, and it's about people won't ignore that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
entirely.
There's nobody that can question the work ethic of what I do, man. And I suppose, like, just being put in a position that I know other people want, right? It's humbling. and it makes me carry on. One of the things that's really like kept me going is new project wise. Like I'm gonna start a label.
Okay.
Right? And I've been working on that throughout lockdown, and it's been my little like passion project, and it's something I always wanted to do, but I just felt like now I've really like carved a lane, I suppose. It's difficult when, you know, I'm a DJ, I don't produce, right? So it's like I don't have, for a long time I didn't have a sound because I'm just playing other people's sounds. But I think at this point I'm in a good place where people know what to expect from an Oblig set.
Yeah, of course.
So I want to kind of just replicate that.
Interesting.
Through a label.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I feel, especially with obviously the amount of people you're kind of involved with and in conversations with, obviously all the producers that are sending stuff over to you. That must be quite an exciting thing to kind of go, okay, wow, there's a lot of unsigned stuff here. I can do something.
Exciting, man. It's incredibly exciting. It's almost too exciting to a point where like there's not enough months in the year for the stuff that I want to put out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
entirely.
Like I have some exciting stuff that I want to drop right now, but I've got an order. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult, man. It's too exciting. I need to have a multi-million-pound empire now. I can't wait any longer.
I completely agree, man. There's definitely a real buzz to be had around that thing of seeing the schedule of what's coming out and going, wow, that's there. But I want all of it out now. Yeah, there's definitely something to be had.
But like I said, it keeps us going, man.
Entirely. I tell you what, we've nearly run out of time. We've literally gone through the entire thing. It's absolutely flown by, man. It's been great having you on the show. Thank you for dropping by this morning.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on, man. Like, I've been watching what you've been doing for a long time, man. And, you know, we could have had this conversation ages ago, but I guess actually, that label thing, that's a world exclusive. I haven't actually told anyone about the label.
Oh, there we go. Well, I'm going to press the world exclusive button.
This one's fresh out the oven. Brand new here on Trickstar.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to wait, man. I wanted to actually have something to speak about. But yeah, man, I like what you've been doing a lot, man. Just keep going. Like I said, this game is about consistency, and you're probably one of the most consistent people in radio that I see at the moment.
Oh, coming from yourself, sir, that is one hell of a compliment. So thank you very, very much. It's very much appreciated. We're gonna move forward and crack on with the rest of the show, and I don't want to keep you for too long.
Sure,
it's been great having you on, and honestly, I could have carried on talking for absolutely hours, and listening to you talk more than anything else. So thank you for dropping by.
Thanks, man.
Just before we finish up, what are the best social media tags for people to get hold of you on?
I'm at DJ Oblig on pretty much everything. Well, anything that matters, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah,
there we go. Awesome, man. Well, as I said, it's been great to have you on. We are gonna move forward. Make sure you do go and follow Oblig. He's got loads of stuff going on. Again, keep an eye out for the label. Have you got a name for the label yet? Just before we move forward.
I'm not giving that one. I'm not giving that one.
I had to try.
You got enough.
I had to try. Right then, people, we're going to crack on. This next one, Sounds of Pav with Rainbow Road. Following that, we've got some great Adams for you as well. Just gone 35 minutes past 8 here on Trickstar Radio. Don't go anywhere.
This is Breakfast with COVID, bringing you their morning flavours on Trickstar Radio.
Trickstar Radio.